All right, everybody, it's our Klaus here, and truly excellent video for you today. I want to jump right into this. We're going to be discussing the occult significance of the insurance company Geico and what it has to do with the impending Third World War, martial law. We're going to connect them to very famous occult figures such as Aleister Crowley. We're going to talk about full moons, entertainment industry, all across the board. It's going to be a very, very fascinating video. If you're not familiar with this channel, how I do the research, be sure to become more acquainted with it, as it will be much more meaningful if you have a better understanding of what these methods I'm using are and why they are so important. And so with that being said, I'm going to jump right into this today because there is a tremendous amount of ground that we need to go over in order to paint this picture as comprehensively as possible. So Geico was founded back in 1936 by husband and wife Leo Goodwin and Lillian Goodwin. So we're going to talk about them more later, and what I want to start with is the fact that Geico is an abbreviation for Government Employees Insurance Company. And it's very interesting because you see down here, despite the presence of the word government in its name, Geico has always been a private corporation, not affiliated with any government organization. So again, very important just to note that getting into things here. So founded in 1936, let's break that number down. 19, the sun card, this is what the warship all comes down to. And then 36, the 36 triangular number is 666. So we're really going to break that down today as we go. But notice this as well, that Grand Masters and Masonic temples have their compass set to 36 degrees. So remember back in April of last year in my JFK video, I was discussing this idea of looking into this degree of 36 for that very important reason they just listed there. But something else I want you to note is that they're also talking about the Star of David and the fixed angle of 60 degrees on some of the compasses not having any Masonic value. But I will show you today that there absolutely is a connection there, okay? So again, fascinating video, but let's stay in tune with today here. So 19 plus 36 gives us 55. Remember, this is the same simple value as Satan, New Age, and Wicked. And so outside of Geico being founded in 1936, there's also a lot of other big deal things going on that year, including the founding of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So do remember, this is located over in Pasadena, California. It was founded on Halloween. You can look into my Pez Theory videos for some very interesting insight on that. But notice as well here, that is the same year that Hoover Dam, then Boulder Dam, was completed on March 1st. So remember, 31, incredibly important. Part of that is because 31 times 3 gives us 93, that master thelemic number. Also remember all of the discussion I've done on the adjustment card and how this number is talked about very extensively in there. And so also worth noting is that the Hoover Dam is actually named after the 31st President J. Edgar Hoover. And so again, seeing how that comes in, if we mirror and add those, it's 44. Inverted as 13 is the death or the transition card. And so do think back to my last video as well, talking about Mack trucks, the fact that they actually played a big role in the construction of that dam. And so again, seeing how all of these pieces are very, very intimately interwoven. So notice as well here, in that same year, FDR dedicated Hoover Dam on September 11th, on 9/11. So very telling. That's a very huge piece as far as just predictive. Now look here, Yellowstone was established on March 1st, 1872, and so with Hoover Dam being completed March 1st, 1936, you have a 64-year difference there. And so 64 is a huge number. This is the same value as Thelema, but I'm going to talk about it much more later. I also want you to see that the Volkswagen was debuted by Hitler that year. Again, you can get get down to this 222 times 3 and another 666 in there. You also have the beginning of the Spanish Civil War, where I believe about 500,000 people lost their lives. So again, very big energy being expounded in that year. 81 years ago was 1936. Again, you can see how we can get a nice 99 out of there, but do notice that 81 is the same as Horus, as well as Tower, Masons, Hermetic, and Inferno. All of this massive. And so it's very important here when we're looking into the founders that we note for their geometric values. Leo Goodwin Sr., how he's written out everywhere, and Lillian Goodwin, his wife, they have the same English and simple values. And remember, 156 is the number of our Lady Babalon, but notice here 666 written out, as well as 33 and the phrase as above so below. Now you'll also notice here the reptilians and the demonic aliens. And so with Geico and the lizard, and the fact that that is being injected into everybody's psyche on such a huge level, is very, very important. And also remember that their big phrase is 15 minutes could save you 15%. The 15th tarot card is the devil card. And so remember, we've talked a lot about all of these numbers, but just so that you can see it here again, because it's been a while, the 33rd chapter of Aleister Crowley's Book of Lies is indeed called Baphomet. And so you can look through this and just get some more information. This is his commentary on it here. Very important things that he is discussing and that we have gone to in the past. And so again, you can see at the end of it here, it does start to get into this idea of worshiping the sun. Keep moving though, all right? So the headquarters for Geico is located in Chevy Chase, Maryland. So Chevy Chase, both words are 5 letters. You have another 55. They also both start with the letter C, and so there's our 33 again. If we add 55 and 33, we get that ever important 88. More on that later. So it's located in Maryland. It's the 7th state that was admitted into the Union. Now, again, 7, because we'll get into this later when we talk in about Aleister Crowley's Liber Oz, or Book 77. But it is the number of points on the seal, or excuse me, the mark of the beast, as you can see right here. This is Aleister Crowley's unique symbol that he created for himself. Again, the solar phallic worship. This is supposed to look like a cock and balls, and it really just goes on and on. But I want to keep moving here for you. So notice that Maryland was made the 7th state in 1788, and so 1 and 7 gives us that nice 8. We keep the others, and it's a nice 888. We're also going to be talking about Virginia a little bit later on here, because it was the 10th state admitted into the Union, and 10 is going to be one of the landmark numbers in this video. So keep going though. Geico, here's its English and simple value of 234 and 39. I want you to see when you mirror and add 234, it's another 666. If you mirror and add 39, it's 132. And so we're going to talk about that number in just a moment here. It is the same as the letter V. Remember this coming down to so much important symbolism, as well as Babel. But so notice that 132 divided by 3, again, that trinity, it's 44. Huge number. Very important number that we've talked about. So let's take a look at their mascot here though, because it is the Geico Gecko. And I want you to see the very first time that they debuted him was in 1999 in response to the some sort of strike that was going on for actors. And so to get around that and make a commercial, they had a voice actor, made it animated. But what's so important here is that he licks his left eye with his tongue here. He covers that left eye, and that is a huge Masonic veil that they're throwing at you right there, and again ingraining that into everybody's head. I also want you to see here, before we look at the values, that some of the symbolism for the gecko you have here as a twilight and night creature. They are among the dream keepers and shapeshifters. Also, because of their molting color changes and the fact that they usually mate in the spring months, geckos represent transition and transformation, death and rebirth, metamorphosis, and letting go of old things for the new. Wow, right? So that's so very massive, and especially debuting him in the last year of the millennium before it turns over. It's very, very interesting stuff. So notice here, Geico Gecko, again, both words, 5 letters, another 55. They both start with G, so there's a nice 77. If we add those together, we get yet another 132. But do notice Geico Gecko has the same values as Baphomet, as well as the beast, Beelzebub, and sun god. It's all connected right there. This should go viral based on that, since everybody's always looking for these things, and that's it right there. Case in point. But let's keep moving here. You see, if we go back and check this out here, they have him listed as a gold dust day gecko. And so if we look into the values for that, it is the same as Wheel of Fortune. And again, we're going to talk about the number 10 later on here. And I'm half tempted just to get into it a little bit right now since we're seeing so much of it. But you do have the fact that it is a number of heaven and the world, as well as the universal creation. All right, you have here the first letter in the Greek word deca. 10 is formed like a triangle. All right, and so all of these things, very massive. You can see how this all comes in. But I also want you to see that the 10th astrological sign is Capricorn, right, associated with Saturn, and we're going to talk about that in a moment here as well. But again, all of that coming back to these ideas of the beast or Satan. Okay, so keep going here though, all right, because you also have Third World War, Europe, end of days, Agenda 21, the last Trump, demonic martial law. This number 107 is so incredibly important. And again, this is all going to come up again later today, but it is the same values as 515 as well as Be With Us. So again, 515 from Dante's Divine Comedy, and Be With Us is an apocalyptic story out of Aleister Crowley's Book of Thoth. So keep going here though, all right, because this is all so phenomenal. If we look at Geico as an anagram, we get the phrase go ice. Now, this may seem arbitrary, but look through, excuse me, let's get back up here. But look through here and see how this coding all comes down, and notice how we do get the 93 and we do get the 72. So these are very important numbers, but so I want to keep going here. ICE has the same simple values as L, FBI, and Mac. And so remember, ICE is something I've talked about pretty extensively throughout my videos, especially going back to the Erykah Badu window seat videos, in which I was talking about she died in part 1. She was shot in Dealey Plaza a la JFK, and then in part 2 she's reincarnated. We see this ice machine, all these things. But so let's pull this over here though, for those of you not familiar with this concept of L. This is a great blog. As always, I'm going to leave you these links. But so notice here the ancient name of Saturn was L, and it is the reason why those that were chosen by L were called elites. And so he connects it as well to the words elect, elder, elevated, Elohim, circle at the end with the inversion, gospel, apostle. Again, seeing how they all derive from that. And so he's talking about also here the angels being messengers of God, but God was El, and that is why the archangels bear the El suffix, such as Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, etc. So very, very interesting, and just very, very just powerful information, I feel, at the end of the day here. Okay, so I'm going to leave you that link so you can look into that more, as it is very interesting. And as you see the word go on its own here, there's that 132 again. It has that simple value of 22, the master builder, but again, V, calf, Babel. Remember that when Moses came down with the 10 commandments, everybody was already worshiping the bronze calf and all the issues with that. All right, so keep going here though. In Geico's 60th year, 1996, it was purchased by Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated, and this is a company that is owned by Warren Buffett. So again, remember I was talking about with these compasses and this 60 degrees here, the fact that Warren Buffett purchased it in its 60th year is a very, very huge piece. So now take a look here at Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated. This is a very, very important conglomerate. So notice here they own Geico, they own BNSF Railway. This is very, very important. And you'll also see here that they are the largest shareholder in United Airlines. And so remember, I've been talking about United Airlines because their headquarters is the Willis Tower. And so if we can get everything pulled up for you here, and I highly advise you go watch that Willis Tower video because it is phenomenal and it is incredibly revealing. But the area code 60606 for that is very, very telling, and all the other things that I had discussed with United Airlines in connection with that. So it's phenomenally interesting, and again, please go familiarize yourself. Now, why Warren Buffett is such an important person to look into. Again, this is one of the top 3 wealthiest people in the world. But this very interesting article was put out on April 4th this year, again, 4/4. And one of the things that he's talking about is that Warren Buffett is most likely the head of all Illuminati operations, followed by Ben Bernanke and Lloyd Blankfein, who's the CEO of Goldman Sachs. So this is for the North America division of everything. All right, so very, very important. I'll leave that article for you. But one other thing to note here, since 1996 was the year that Warren Buffett gets a hold of this, 1996 was also the year that this game Gex, and again, note the one eye symbolism here, but in 1996 it was released in North America on the Sega Saturn. All right, so again, how very critical that all of that coding lines up. So let's also note here that Geico are known for their commercials. The geometric values for commercials is 666. All right, so very, very important. Now with that, I want to look at one of their most recent commercials here to show you how they're encoding what is about to come. So its commercial is Running of the Bulldogs, and so notice everything here published on July 2nd, that's 7/2. Remember Bulldogs, we talked about this in the last video with the Mack trucks because their mascot is also a bulldog, and that it's an anagram for bull gods. Remember, we also talked about Yale's mascot being the bulldog who's wearing the 33. Yale is where Skull and Bones is located, again with the one eye symbolism over here. It's really quite phenomenal how they stack that all up. All right, so now keep going here. Notice that Running of the Bulldogs is 20 letters. That is the Aeon card. That is the change of everything card, the restructuring of everything. So you have Harbinger of Apocalypse, as well as terrorist threats, United States Air Force, this idea of the 11s and conceal and reveal. Notice the ES values are same as the phrase secret of 36. Also remember that Ben Franklin lived at 36 Craven Street, and it was the house that they found the 15 skeletons buried underneath in the basement. Again, look into those previous videos. So let's keep moving here though. Let's take a look at some of the screenshots from this commercial. So do notice that it starts with the interdictory circle in the front there. Again, IC 93. But we've been talking about that so much, and do remember that it is on this 1988 Economist cover, which we've also discussed at length here. But notice as well that you have this O and the X hidden in this commercial. Again, O is the 15th letter, X is the 24th. They both reduce to 6, and so you have a nice 66 hidden right in there. So again, there's another shot of the O and the X. And so after the Running of the Bulldogs, we have Aaliyah standing here with this nice save, $307 with Geico. She's from North Las Vegas, Nevada. And again, you see here, it's a very arbitrary number as far as I'm concerned. Average annual savings of $550, drop that 0. There's your 55 yet again, all right? So Aaliyah has the same values as Mac, all right? Very important. So let's break this down. Nevada, where she's from, right? The state. You have it being the same as the phrase I am sorry, which if you reduce I, A, and S, it's 911. You have the number 600 written out. It's the same as World Bank, satanic magic. You also have totalitarian fascism and offering blood of the bull. Notice her English value is 216. Remember, 216 is a result of 6 times 6 times 6. That simple value of 36, not only is that 36 triangular number, the 666, but you can also look at it as a literal reference to 3 6s, and so again that 666 coming out, same as Ra and L as well as Law. Very important. So let's look into the significance of this number 307 that she's holding for us here. All right, so let me get back. And the 307th day this year is going to be November 3rd. Notice how we can reduce that down to a nice 33. Also, with that 113, another way that we could look at that, it's a huge number that we've looked into because of its connections to the phrase apocalypse, the sun god, Salvatore, so much more, all right? Very, very massive thing that we've looked into for you. So 58 days remaining on there, again, massive, but this is going to be in week 44, and it is the night before the full beaver moon. And so let's take a look at this over here so that we can get all of our numbers established for this moon. So here we have November 4th, full beaver moon, 1:23 a.m. So notice over here for full beaver moon, we have reference to brings war as well as law created, great tribulation day, and Arthurian apocalypse. Remember the whole idea that King Arthur, all of those stories, his death is all fabricated, all a lie. And so you also have down here for the English and simple values, they are the same as North Las Vegas. Yes, that's right, where Aaliyah is from in this Geico ad. And so you see how amazing that is. Now look, it's the same as planet Saturn, Masonic Grand Lodge, Seal of Solomon, right? All things that we've talked about and connected back already. It's the same as terrorists, super volcano, secrets revealed, and it also is the same as the written out 864. So remember, this is one of the most important numbers because it is the same as Scarlet Woman as well as Mark of the Beast, 44 written out. Again, it's the same as Trauma Room 1, which is where Kennedy was pronounced dead. It really goes on and on. Dante's Inferno shares the same coding as this, as well as Opening the Third Eye, the Sun City. Again, I could go on and on, but see how tightly interwoven that all is. Now notice here that North Las Vegas has the area code of 702. 702 is the same as Satanic Offer, Welcome Home, and T Phoenix. And so again, the thing we kept seeing again and again there, oh, son of a bitch, that says 10 Phoenix. All right, we'll strike that. Outside of that, everything else still resonates. So we'll take that out and I'll recalibrate for that later on here. And so notice as well, what I do want you to see is that 702 does have a simple value of 117. And so again, very important number, reduces to 77. You can see some more of the coding there. But so just important to remember that that area code, you drop the 0, it's 72, just like the day that the commercial was released on. So notice here, the full moon was said to occur at 1:23 a.m. Again, November 4th reduces down to 44. 123, if we mirror and add it, it gives us that 444. 4. So again, if we look at that as a Jewish value, we have Order of Thelema, Head Mind Control, and FEMA Camp Program. 123 on its own, Conspiracy, Death Sentence, another reference to reptilians, as well as the Galaxy Wheel, and written out here, 88. All of this very important. You can see as well here, because for full beaver moon, it's said to see this is the apocalypse. So if we take a look at that on its own, this is what we get. Magnificent 888, dictated by authority, the date of the apocalypse. And so I wanted to look at this as 230, the 230th day of this year is going to be August 18th with 135 remaining. And so remember, 135, when we mirror and add it, that's another example of giving us that 666. I'm going to talk more about that number in just a second here. So also worth noting here, since we've talked about August 4th a lot, because it's the 216th day of the year, again, all the significance. The amount of time between August 4th and the 307th day is 92 days, which happens to be the same simple value as bulldogs, all right? Massively important. So let's keep looking at this 307 though. Let's look at it another way. If we drop the 0, it's 37. We can look at it as literal 3 sevens, so that 777, again, monumentally important, order out of chaos. We can mirror and add it and get 110. This is the new aeon, martial law, 911, and we have the 5 V's here. Again, this is from chapter 42, Dust Devils, in Crowley's Book of Lies, which I believe will also keep coming up later here. If we look at the geometric values for 37 written out, it's the same as Divide and Conquer, United Nations, Last Trumpet, and Willis Tower, which we were just mentioning moments ago. And so again here, let's find some hidden stuff. So the commercial was released on July 2nd. Let's look 37 days after that is going to be August 8th, 8. And if we look at 2017 abbreviated like this, 17, we add it, we get another 888. So notice here, Donald J. Trump, Satanic Wizard, Destruction, the Comet Elenin, the Path of None. This is the Path of Death. It's also the same as Nuclear Weapon and Unseal the Book. Keep going here. The English value for 37 is 222. Now 810, August 10th, is going to be the 222nd day, and I was saying I was going to expand on that 135 number for you just a little more here, and it is very important because it is the same as, right, 810. That's the English value. So 135 times 6 is 810. You get Thelemic order, terrorism, dust devils. This is the name of chapter 42, where we have these 5 V's that end that chapter. But again here, radiance of God, God of Baphomet, black in the sun, all of these huge pieces coming together when we're looking at that 810 and 135. All right, so again, very, very important. But back to August 8th, 220th day with 145 left. So it's in week 32. Again, we can look at that as 3 2s. And I do want you to see that that simple value of 222 is the same as Witness Worldwide, as well as Mack Trucks Born Ready. That is their new slogan. And again, look at all these pieces. Go watch that video. It's amazing. Donald John Trump Sr. is the same as 222. Impossible coincidences. You have these references to True Holy Angel of Death. Keep in mind Revelation 6:8, because we'll be talking about Liber Oz more later. Again, O and Z reduced to 6 and 8. So it's another rendition of that. You also have Key to the Apocalypse, the Beast of Revelation, September 11 attack, and the Draconian Tradition. So this is a very, very massive number here, all right? But let's keep going. I want you to see another way to build this. We can do 22 times 0 for 0, the Magician. Very important. This is the baseline for it all. Or if we just drop the 0, it's 22, the Master Builder number. 145, the number of days left on August 8th, same as Order of Thelema, 777, and 515 death. all massive. So what I want to do now is look between our hidden dates here. So remember, August 8th is 37 days after this commercial was released, and November 3rd is the 307th day, all right? And the time between those two is 88 days. And I know it sounds so wild, that all these 88s, but here it is. There it is, all right? That's how it stacks out for you. So now let's get back here. Simple value of 88 is the same as Trump, as well as the New Age and messages. If we do 8 times 8, it gives us 64. This is the same as Thelema, Yahweh, Klaus, Amon, chosen, and the chief. Again, the fact that both of these components in my name come up in this are very, very important. If we reduce this down one more, 6 and 4 is 10. All right, so now let's get back to this whole 10 idea we were talking about earlier. And again, as it said back there, it is, right, the number of commandments. It is the number of the Bill of Rights, or excuse me, yeah, the number of amendments in the Bill of Rights. I think it's very important as well that over in Europe, the Prime Minister lives in number 10, Downing Street. All of these pieces, all right? So I want you to just take a look through this. I mean, as always, there's so much information here. I don't want to bog it down too much, but 10 is an incredibly important number. You can see was the holiest of number according to the Pythagoreans, and they took their oaths by the number 10. And so you can see here that, to expand on what I was reading earlier, the first letter in the Greek word deca, 10, is formed like a triangle. Pythagoreans used their sacred symbol of the tetracheitos when swearing an oath. It was common to use pebbles, and the pebbles were arranged in a perfect triangle, much like in bowling. And so here you have this right here. And remember, when you start thinking about stuff like the Big Lebowski and the 119 or the 9/11 that's in there, all of this connects back because of these connections to bowling, to sex, to delirium, to not being able to figure out what's reality. This is all a part of the programming. It's all a part of it, okay? So if we keep breaking this down though, 88 days is 2 months and 27 days. And so 227 is a big deal. You can ask me about it. But if we invert it, 722, that's the Jewish value for my name. 22 times 7 is 154. That's the same as the law of Thelema, the Antichrist, America the Babylon, and I am the great beast. So 88 days also translates to 12 weeks, 4 days. 124 is the same as the O and the X. Just like from the commercial, you also have the same as Judgment Day and Tower of Babel. Now notice here that 88 days is 2,112 hours. So 2112, wonderful mirror, reduces to 33, 21 and 12 are 2 and 1 and 1 and 2. There it is. And so the big thing I feel like everyone would be thinking when you say 2112 is this album from Rush. And so let's take a look at this over here, all right? You have this nice, and again, just looking at the cover there, and we're thinking about all of this inversion and mirroring with the star facing upright there. It's natural to just invert it in your mind and it becomes the pentagram. And so take a look here. 2112 pronounced 2112, and so excuse me, when we look at the English and simple values for that, it is the same as United States of America, FEMA concentration camps, creator and destroyer, and the key of the rituals. Now what I want to do here is I want to show you a little bit about this emblem and just what it has to do here. So you have this idea. All the naked man, the starman emblem means is the abstract man against the masses. The red star symbolizes any collectivist mentality. On the album art, the collectivist mentality is depicted as the red star of the Solar Federation, which, according to the plot, is a galaxy-wide federation that controls all aspects of life during the year 2112. All right, so it sounds a whole lot like what we would call the Illuminati. Illuminati or the New World Order. And so if we look into Red Star on its own, it is 7 letters. So there's that. But notice the Angel of Death, as well as the CERN black hole and London false flag. Notice the ES values, same as the devil, violence, Hail Satan, Lord, Ra, and El, right? Matrix, blind faith, the earth, that all connects right back here. So now part of the Solar Federation, sun worship, the destroyer. And again, these pieces down here, ask me about them because there's a tremendous amount of insight that I don't want to go into. It's also the same as occultic master. So the Starman, the one who's against all of this, right? Keeper of fire, order of death, all-seeing eye. Now, what's very important is this symbol and symbolism is accredited to being a part of Neil Peart's symbols. So the red star is the evil red star of the Federation, which is one of Peart's symbols. So just so happens that Neil Elwood Peart is 64 years old and 6'4". So there we have 2 very beautiful 64s. His whole name is 16 letters. That's the Tower card. Look at his English and simple values here. That 111 times 6, there's that 666. If we add 186 together, it's 15. The devil card, you can bring this all the way across. It'll give us another 15. Notice it is the same values as Horatio Greeno. That's the man who made Enthroned Washington. And so that's something that I've talked about tremendously in the past here. I will just bring up the coding for you so that you can get a better look at that. Let's go back. All right, so there you have all of that. Can see how it all connects in there. Very fascinating. So what I want you to see here, though, these ideas of great tyrants, life is an illusion, and demonic reptilians. So the album length is 38 minutes 42 seconds. We reduced that down as 11:6. Can look at this any number of ways. Can reduce down to 66. It can be an inverted and upside down 911. But again, you can go through here and just see all of the value that we have found with that number. But what's very important here is that it was released 41 years ago. All right. And so 41 as a simple value is the same as USA, globe, king, home, right? And so I want to say all of those ones first because I do want you to, again, just to think back to here with the king sitting on the globe. And so notice as well here, it's the same as gecko. And so here we're still in touch with our Geico baseline and all of this here. And notice it's the same as Oz, right? So there's that 6-8 again I was talking about earlier. So very important. The English value of 41 is 246. And so if we mirror and add 246, there's our 888 again. Mirror and add 41, there's our 55 again. All right, so now we're getting into the last bit of this today. And this is arguably the most important. I wish I could have started with it, but just with the way the video flows, it had to be at the end. So let's take another look at Liber 77 here, or Liber Oz, book 77. And notice here that it begins, the law of the strong. This is our law and the joy of the world. And so let's start with this, right? The law of the strong. And you have that connecting here to USA is gone, and these Roman numerals equal 2017. You have called evil to conceal its holiness, right? And so if people stay away from something, they're going to understand less and less about it. And so the more you're kept away from something, arguably the more value it has. You also have here the prison of physical manifestation, millenniums of tyranny, and here it is again, 107. Remember, the same as 515. Be with us, big mutant. This ties us to our Mars Volta research. But notice as well that moment of joy. So more on that in a second. But look here, the ES values, there's our 216 again. And this is the same as 510 and 5. Remember, the written out version of the prophetic number from Dante's Divine Comedy. Again, all those words, 6 letters. Notice as well, same as 2017 and the Day of the Baphomets. Now, this is a song off of the Mars Volta album that has Big Mutant as its cover art. So this is very, very important to see how this all stays in tune. Notice as well, it's the same as Witness the Tour, because we were talking about Witness Worldwide earlier, and that connects to Katy Perry. Again, as I've talked about, K is 11, P is 16, and so yet again we have one of the just infinite ways of getting this 666. Days of the Apocalypse, stars and planets, CERN will let in the aliens, it's all there, all right? So again, the last part of that is the joy of the world. So you can see that right here. And so jumping back here, joy of the world, you have World War III begins. United Nations Agenda 21, all spelled out perfect. You have the White House Project. You have false reality with false gods and false paradigms. Okay? That's the world we live in. Exposing the truth exposes all of the false teachers. It's a wonderful phrase. Notice the ES values are the same as dissolve and coagulate. Again, this is the chief alchemical phrase. This is what's written on the goat of Mendes' arms as the god of Baphomet. Very important. Notice it's the same as the Economist cover, and it's also the same as Yellowstone Caldera, which, again, I did a whole video on this, but you can see the coordinates there, 44. It's located in the 44th state. There's that 110 we talked about earlier, New Age, all of that, all right? So again, the joy of the world, though, ES values, FEMA internment camps, FEMA concentration camps, horrible histories. It's reference to Constitution Day, which is going to be September 17th this year. You also have the huge underground base, all right? So now all of this stuff with joy, of course, I want to pull it out on its own, take a look at it. And so for joy, you do see here, if we drop these zeros, it's another 15 devil card, the Apocalypse Angel of Death. Order of 11. So remember, the 11, it's a number of points on the cliff auth. This is the inverted tree of life, which has 10 points on it. All right, this is very important how these two stand in opposition to each other. You also have stars are alien starships. It's a very troubling idea to think about. These ES values, DXVs are numerals for 510 and a 5. And notice as well here, America, Donald, Snake, Resh, it's the sun, it's the path of the sun. It's also the same as Inri and Void. These are all huge, huge pieces. And so if you'll notice here, the last real piece I have for you is that Liber, written out here, 77. Same as Spirit of Joy, Universal Architect, Satanic Witchcraft, and notice it's all the same as the King Jesus Christ and the biblical Jesus Christ. Same as I am the way, all right? Very terrifying. Bioweapons engineering, secret society exposed, the earth is hollow, and with bioweapons engineering, I'm just going to throw this in here again. Remember when I was talking about Mildred Z. Solomon? All right, let's pull her up here. I want the full thing. And so notice here, President Donald Trump, all the things we talked about. This was before Trump was put into office. Told to read between the lines, but she has this number 936 written out, which again, think back to the beginning, 936 was the same value. It's going to get a little distorted here for a second. It's the same value as Leo Goodwin Sr., his wife Lillian Goodwin. It's the same as 666, 33, as above, so below. Reptilians, demonic aliens, all of that. Sharing that coding. Remember that Mildred is the one who runs the Hastings Center. This is a huge, huge piece here in the bioethics research. So again, look into that. We've talked about it in the past, but again, she has so much hidden within her there. You can even see the references to the planet Saturn, Yellowstone snake, so on and so forth. All right, so again, though, back to Liber 77 with the Roman numerals. Here I am again. You also have, I mean, this is one of the most important numbers. All right, The Economist, AFI's The Blood album comes up here again. remember that AFI's The Blood album came out on January 20th. This is the day that Trump took office. It was January 20th this year, and it is their 10th album, getting us back to all of these 10s. The cover work is a trinity, a triangle of blood drops, all right? Massively important. This is also the same as Mack Trucks Incorporated, Sixit Vobis. These are the last words written on the tarot in the Book of Thoth. Again, ask me about these things, I'll expand on them. But this Liber 77 does give us the same as the Apocalypse: global control, manifestation, Anuit Coptis, destructive. Here's another 68. Remember, Oz is what we're coming from here. The Yellow Sun, financial crisis, you name it. All right, and so this very last piece, the little bonus for anybody who is still listening and watching this video right now. If we're looking at this commercial here and we just omit the numbers and we look at saved with Geico, I want you to see what we get for that. So saved with Geico is the same as American Civil War. Justice served, everything is Illuminati, the worship of money, and evil global government. You also have, they think it's acceptable to defile and murder children. And so before I talk about the worship of money on my last note here, notice that the English and simple values for saved with Geico are the same as so beneath you. Now this is track 7 off of AFI's The Blood album. It's also the same as Trump Train, Electoral College, which is the fucked up system that allowed Trump to be inaugurated. Again, inauguration, same as this. It's when that album came out. Liber Alvel Legis. This is the book of the law. Again, all of this. Biotechnology, spirit of death, wrath of God. It's all there. All right. Understanding. And so with this idea of the worship of money, I do want to just do a quick little thing here. So think about the money symbol. It is an S with 2 lines through it. And so remember S, the 19th letter, the path of Resh, it's the sun card, okay, all of those things. And then the number 11 coming through there, as we discussed, is this whole idea of the number of points on the Qliphoth, or it's also just the chief magic number and just of evil. All these things, the concept of evil. And so when you have those two put together like that, the sun and the tree of death, I mean, it creates a very important duality there, in which people actually think that this is something brilliant, that it's something worth striving for, that it gives life, but it's actually overshadowed by the darkness, the destructive forces of everything. And remember that the forbidden word is the idea of restriction, or limitation in any way, but restriction is the actual word, and money is really the most terrifying embodiment of that. People feel like it opens them up to more potential and ability and all of these things, but no. It is restrictive in every sense of the word. I'm already pretty far into this video, so I don't want to soapbox on that, but I'm happy to discuss it. I might just discuss it later in the future because it deserves more attention. So that's all I have for you today. Keep an eye on these dates that I'm putting forward. Keep trying to bring whatever light into the world you feel needs to be brought into it, where I feel still too far down this path to in any way turn things around. It's far beyond our control, but what is in our control is our perception of things, our perspective on it, how we understand it. What we do with the time that we have left, I feel, will speak volumes. So thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope that it has brought you some sort of greater meaning or understanding of things. And please, please be well.